I also saw the Russia. They had come to trade and had disembarked at the Itil river. I have never seen bodies as nearly perfect as theirs. As tall as palm trees, fair and reddish, they wear neither tunics nor kaftans. Every man wears a cloak with which he covers half of his body, so that one arm is uncovered. They carry axes, swords, and daggers, and always have them to hand. They use Frankish swords with broad, ridged blades. They are dark from the tips of their toes right up to their necks, trees, pictures, and the like. Every woman wears a small box made of iron, silver, brass, or gold, depending on her husband's financial worth and social standing, tied at her breasts. The box has a ring to which a knife is attached, also tied at her breasts. The women wear neck rings of gold and silver. When a man has amassed 10,000 dirhams, he has a neck ring made for his wife. When he has amassed 20,000 dirhams, he has 2 neck rings made. For every subsequent 10,000, he gives a neck ring to his wife. This means a woman can wear many neck rings. The jewelry they prize the most is the dark ceramic beads they have aboard their boats, and which they trade among themselves. They purchase beads for 1 dirham each, and string them together as necklaces for their wives. They are the filthiest of all God's creatures. They have no modesty when it comes to defecating or urinating, and do not wash themselves when intercourse puts them in a state of ritual impurity. They do not even wash their hands after eating. Indeed, they are like roaming asses. They disembark as soon as their boats dock. Each carries bread, meat, onions, milk, and alcohol to a large block of wood set in the ground. The piece of wood has a face on it, like the face of a man. It is surrounded by small figurines placed in front of large blocks of wood set in the ground. He prostrates himself before the large figure and says, "Lord, I have come from a distant land with such and such a number of female slaves and such a number of sable pelts." He lists all his merchandise. Then he says, "And I have brought this offering." He leaves his offering in front of the piece of wood, saying, "I want you to bless me with a rich merchant with many dinars and dirhams, who will buy from me whatever I wish, and not haggle over any price I set." Then he leaves. If he finds it hard to sell his goods and has to stay there too many days, he comes back with a second and a third offering. Sometimes business is good, and he makes a quick sale. In that case, he says, "My lord has satisfied my request, so I need to compensate him." He acquires some sheep or cows and kills them, gives a portion of the meat as alms, and places the rest before the large block of wood and the small ones around it. He ties the heads of the cows or the sheep to the piece of wood set up in the ground. When night falls, the dogs come and eat it all up, and the man who has gone to all this trouble says, "My lord is pleased with me and has eaten my offering." When one of them falls ill, they pitch a tent far away and lay him down inside with some bread and water. They do not approach him or speak to him. Indeed, they have no contact with him for as long as he is ill, especially if he is a social inferior or a slave. If he recovers and gets back on his feet, he rejoins them. If he dies, they set fire to him. They do not bury dead slaves, but leave them as food for the dogs and the birds. I was told that they set fire to their chieftains when they died. Sometimes they do more, so I was very keen to verify this. Then I learned of the death of an important man. They had placed him in his grave, with a roof raised over him, for 10 days while they finished cutting and sewing his garments. When the deceased is poor, they build a small boat for him, place him inside, and burn it. When he is rich, they collect his possessions and divide them into 3 portions. 1/3 goes to his household, 1/3 is spent on his funeral garments, and 1/3 is spent on the alcohol they drink the day his female slave kills herself and is cremated with her master. They are addicted to alcohol. They drink it night and day. Sometimes one of them dies cup in hand. It is one of the customs of the king of the Russia to keep in his palace 400 of his bravest comrades and most trusted companions beside him. They die when he dies and sacrifice themselves to protect him. These 400 companions sit below his huge couch, studded with precious stones. 40 concubines who belong to the king also sit on his couch. He never steps off his throne. When he wants to satisfy an urge, he does so in a salver. When he wants to ride, he has his horse brought to the throne and mounts it from there. When he wants to dismount, he rides the horse to the throne so he can dismount there. He has a deputy who leads the armies, fights the enemy, and represents him among his subjects.